Let's talk hipfire, boys and girls. That wonderful bit of RNG where you're just running along, everything's looking real bad, and you snap around and go, headshot! Thanks very much for coming. Uppercut, uppercut, sonic boom! Today's video is about hipfiring. It's not about what's better, ADS or hipfiring, it's just about hipfiring. I want to talk about some of the pros and some of the cons of hipfiring. Obviously, hipfiring is awesome because it means you don't have to even aim. All you have to do is keep the reticle somewhere in the general vicinity of the target and they'll fall over like, brrr, love it, can't get enough of it, but it is less accurate. And there is definitely an element of RNG to hipfire. Now, there are weapons that have a better hipfire spread than others. That's not what this video is about. What I want to talk about is some of the traps that people run into with hipfiring and why hipfiring is probably better for you than you'd expect. I do an awful lot of hipfiring. One of the big things I come across is people don't understand that when you're hipfiring, you are firing from the hip. You're not firing from the shouldered arms, which is when you ADS. And this means that when you see a target, even if the reticle is on the target, and you fire, oftentimes that is not going to hit the target. It's going to hit the wall because, you know, that's where the gun is pointed. And that nearly gets me killed here because I have to wait until he comes out of the window before the gun can hit. I'll show you an example of that from the other side of things where people are hip firing at me and I am slightly above the ground. These window sills on Vikendi, old school Vikendi, are renowned for this. Well, they were renowned for it before the map disappeared. Get rid of Livik, bring back Vikendi. You heard it here first. Watch as these guys come in. We have a squad fight and I take no damage really here, despite the fact that someone is just outside the window shredding me. Or thinks they're shredding me. They're hip firing, they're not ADSing. And all those shots that they were firing were just going into the windowsill below me. So one of the problems with hip firing is you've got to be certain that you can actually see the target. Why is hip firing so effective? Well, when you're hip firing, you don't lose mobility. When you're ADS'd, you actually go a little bit slower in terms of mobility and you lose your peripheral vision as well. This means that when you're just straying out and hip firing, and specifically with some guns, I'm talking about used shotguns when you decide you want to work, then you're able to control the situation a lot more effectively. You can tell when people are coming in, you can tell where the enemies are on your right and on your left, and it's also a thing that you can use to take advantage of desync. Like you can strafe out and hipfire and strafe back in really, really quickly, and if you get a good burst of RNG there, then that's wonderful. If you get a good burst of RNG, then you're not going to take any damage. And if you don't get a good burst of RNG, you're unlikely to take any damage coming back. Whereas if you lean out and hard peek ADSing, then you're giving them a stationary target that they may well be ready for. You just hip fire across like that, and if enough rounds hit, they hit. The other thing about hip firing is PUBG Mobile is very, very forgiving and has a wonderful, easy to control recoil system. That means that it's not so hard to chase someone down and hip fire and have all the rounds sit right around where the reticle is, especially with SMGs. SMGs are excellent at this. They really don't suffer from the huge perilous recoil that say a 7.62 AR does. And the rounds will sit, even if you have a hipfire spread. If you're close enough to the target, it won't matter. And other guns like the AKM, for instance, you can see here, they have crazy headshot damage. So if you get a headshot and a body shot, you can take out someone who's got a level 1 helmet quite comfortably. Now, you're also not really, hipfire is kind of like just free money. Like, oh, you're in trouble. Just run along hipfiring. Knock everyone, kill everyone. Because, you know, if you're mobile and you're moving, you're harder to hit. And yet, if the bullets hit, even if you're firing 40, then you're a winner. Shotguns are the special case here. Shotguns are all about hipfire. You want to be able to hipfire with shotguns. Shotguns are also super unreliable. Don't tell me about it. I understand sometimes you'll hit someone 4 times with a shotgun and it won't matter, and other times you'll hit them once and they'll just fall over stone cold dead. That's how shotguns work. Shotguns are like buyer beware. There is no way around it. Caveat emptor is shotgun town. So let's recap that. You've got to be very, very careful with the weapon and where you're actually situated. You can see that's why I'm running and jumping to get the shot off there. I actually leap over a wall to get the shot off. What hipfire does is gives you that awesome peripheral vision and allows you to maintain maximum mobility while you're moving around and using the gun. Not coincidentally, SMGs are awesome for this because they have 0 mobility penalty. So you actually move faster when you're using an SMG than you do when you're using an AR. This is just a fact of life. They're also the least recoil-driven guns in the game. They fire 9mm rounds and stuff like that, and that means you can get away with a whole hell of a lot. And especially in these enclosed spaces and with the kind of desync you can get from running a mobile game online, using hipfire gives you a lot more opportunity to shoot targets at, say, that 15-meter range. What happens a lot of the time is if you're ADS'd into these targets and they have like a lag spike or drop frames and they zoom all over the place, you can't keep tracking that. All that happens is they zoom out to the left or the right and you've got to readjust your ADS. With hipfire, you're also moving and you're able to jerk backwards and forwards an awful lot more than you can while ADSing and still maintain contact with the target. There's a time and a place for it, but you probably need to put more hipfire into your game. Short range especially, hipfire beats the crap out of ADS unless the target's very, very, very slow. Anyway, I'm Bushka. Thank you so much for watching. Look after yourselves. Stay safe in the battlefield. Hope you're enjoying the world. Remember to like and subscribe. Lots of giveaways coming up. We're giving away the Red Magic 6 phone, the Bape Gorilla t-shirt, the 20 Royal Passes for Season 19. Oh, so much going on. So subscribe, tell your friends, and until next time, bye for now.